Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, I am Zombie Cartman, and today I want to talk about DLC, or as it's properly termed, downloadable content. Now, back when DLC was first a thing, I remember a lot of the old school gamers really not liking it. They would say things like, oh, the developers are just holding content back and not giving it to us until a later date, yada, yada, yada. And for us newer gamers, we didn't really understand. I mean, I wasn't necessarily a newer gamer, but I was kind of new to online gaming. So, you know, in the early days, it just kind of felt like you actually were getting something after the fact. Like these games were coming out, the base game itself was really good. So if all you had was the base game, that was good game, and so it didn't feel like you needed the DLC for the game to be good. And in that way, it just felt like the DLC was more. The early Call of Duty titles that had DLC, when you got those DLC packs, it just felt like you were getting more good content. Whereas today, you got games like Black Ops 3, where if you don't have DLC, you're pretty much stuck with Shadows of Evil. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to just have Shadows of Evil as the only zombie map for that game. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't like really any of the zombie maps on that game, but that's a topic for a whole other video that I probably will do somewhat soon. But moving on, uh, there's games like Destiny where they literally released the launch edition of the game with like two or three of the DLC packs built into the disc. So if you bought the disc version of the game and you brought it home and put it into your Xbox or your PS4, you actually had the first two or three DLCs for the game on that disc, but they weren't letting you have that content until you paid for it. And to me, that was messed up. I was like, it's like buying a book and you got to like mail a check to the publisher so that you can move on to the next chapter. Like that sucks. You got the content sitting right there. Why can't you have it? You know? And that's the thing about DLC today is that it just feels like an excuse for the developers to just release games that aren't done. Because if you got Destiny at launch and you played it at launch and then you played it today, they're basically two different games. I mean, the core game is there, but they've added so much stuff that it really has completely changed the game. And, you know, I just don't understand because at the beginning it was so lackluster and so disappointing compared to what we were told it was going to be that I couldn't stay with it. I just couldn't keep doing the same five little missions and going and getting a pair of boots and stupid shit. I call it Destiny because it's just a terrible game, but, you know, and the DLC design around it is just horrid. And then you got games like Black Ops 3 as well, and not even just Black Ops 3, but Call of Duty is a good example of DLC in general and where it's gone wrong, because like I was saying, in the early days, you'd get map packs and stuff for Call of Duty, and it felt like you got extra because, the base game was great, so you got the map packs, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, even more greatness. But now, the base Call of Duty games aren't that great, and it almost feels like you have to have the DLC to complete the game to make it a playable experience. And that's just terrible, basically. And, the worst part is that you have to pay for it. They got MWR right now, which is Modern Warfare Remastered, and it's coupled along with Infinite Warfare. So the only way you can get that game is to buy them in a bundle. And, you can buy it in a bundle and get a season pass, but now they're releasing a DLC for MWR, and they're going to go ahead and charge people money for it. And I think that's wrong as hell because, you've already paid for it. Why the hell are they going to make you pay for that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like the people that are really willing to buy that DLC are putting us all in a bind, and you're contributing to like a behavior that needs to stop, which is the idea that they can just release a game in a non-complete state and then come back later and just update and fix it. You know, I'm sick and tired of Call of Duty multiplayer. Like, you get the game, you get comfortable with a weapon that you want to use, and then, oh, you know, they add a couple new guns to the game, and then they decide that the gun you've been using forever is too OP, so they nerf the shit out of it. And so then you got to find a new gun to use, and you know, and then all of a sudden they OP the gun that you were using back to what it was, and just if it's terrible. It's just terrible. I really wish they didn't have the ability to change the game once it was actually out. Like the core function of the game and stuff like that, I don't think they should be able to change it. And that way, you know, they would be forced to make it a really good game before they release it. And that's the thing too, like with BO3, I don't understand. It's the first Call of Duty that they've actually had an extra year to develop it, and it came out just terrible. I mean, imagine if Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2 would have had an extra year to be developed. Either one of those games would have been just that much more great. And imagine if Black Ops 3 would have had one less year to develop. I mean, it was already in a complete broken state when it first came out. You'd be disconnecting from matches when you weren't even in an online zombie match. It would disconnect you. And I think it still does that, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it was completely broken at launch, and all they've done is try to fucking patch it and fix it here and there, and it's annoying. And, you know, like I said, it's just an excuse for them to make a game and just rush it out to us and make us pay for it, but they're not going to actually have it in an actual working state when we pay for it, and that sucks. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to rant a little bit about DLC. And, you know, in the meantime, in the background here, I've had this race of GTA going. And I'd just like to point out that GTA is a game that I respect greatly. And Rockstar, I respect that company greatly because, you know, even though they do offer microtrans in the game and you can buy money and stuff like that, you don't have to. You can play this game and you can get the content in the game. And they've added DLC to this game for almost the last 4 years now. And they've never charged a dime for it. And I completely love that and respect that. So, anyway, that's all I got for today. If you guys like the video, that's cool. And have a good day.